my Bahama land, yeah. Friends in every place, a smile on every face. Children at play, time with family today. Someone fill my plate, homemade bread, I can't wait. I can't get enough, I will always stay in touch with my Bahama land, yeah.
Rare Voice introduces Bahamaland, an unlimited nationwide calling plan for only $5 a month. So call home today and connect again with Bahamaland. Home never felt so close.
My Bahamaland, yeah.
The former Deputy Prime Minister says Ishmael Lightbourne has to go. Bishop Simeon Hall defends Dr. Miles Monroe. Plus, the tourism minister's take on tourism leader's smart tax plan. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Vonique Toot, and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, former Deputy Prime Minister Brent Symonette said he is in favor of publishing the tax statuses of current and former politicians. Symonette, who served in the Ingram administration, also hit out at value-added tax coordinator Ishmael Lightbourne's tax delinquency and questioned what the government intends to do about the hundreds of millions of dollars that are owed. Dana Smith reports.
Symonette pointed to various investigations he's suffered in the past and said he welcomes PLP threats to expose F&M tax dodgers. But Symonette said the real issue is the nation's long-standing inconsistent tax collection exercise and the $500 million plus in uncollected real property tax.
I welcome it because if I'm someone who's been investigated by business license, real property tax and national insurance, just me one, as an F&M by a PLP government, coincidence? Seems highly unlikely.
Symonette pointed to a lawsuit filed by the Real Property Tax Department against a company he was a shareholder in as one example. He said that suit happened in the early 1990s and he was a senator at the time. He also pointed to a business license investigation by the Pinleen government against him, and also a national insurance investigation by Prime Minister Perry Christie during the PLP's former tenure in office. After suggesting the investigations were politically motivated, Symonette said if politicians owe money, then they ought to be named.
I'm very much in favor. How can I look up to a parliamentarian or who's supposed to be taking care of the country's business and know that he can't pay his taxes or fill out his forms or do what he's supposed to do? So there shouldn't be any question. Put it in the newspaper.
Symonette also pointed to the tax delinquency of the government's value-added tax coordinator, Ishmael Lightbourne, and said Lightbourne should be removed from his post, though Symonette noted there's a much larger problem at hand.
Absolutely. You're talking to someone who got fired for conflict of interest. So if they fire me, how can I respect anyone who's trying to suggest to me that I should pay VAT when he can't? But the issue is not Ishmael Lightbourne. The issue is the 500-odd million. So there's a lot of other people in the same position.
Symonette said the real problem is the $500 million in outstanding property tax. He said if the government can address the country's long-standing tax collection problem, the burden of the national debt would be lessened. And he criticized the government for its plan to introduce value-added tax while overlooking the persistent inconsistency in tax collection.
It's not difficult. We just have to have the commitment. And I do say that government, so I don't want someone like Mr. Roberts to say, well, we didn't do it and you didn't do it. And that's not the issue. The issue now is we have to find a way to deal with the national debt and have the political will to do it.
Symonette said the government could use agencies such as the Water and Sewage Corporation, the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, and the Ministry of Works as ways to determine the number of homes in an area and the owners. With this information, he explained a tax collection exercise could be realized. Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Meantime, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis has charged that some members of the Christie administration have not supported his call for public disclosure of the tax status of parliamentarians because they are afraid of what will be revealed. During his contribution to the mid-year budget debate last week, Minnis called on Prime Minister Christie to release the tax status of all parliamentarians, something Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkida said he is against.
I still wait. Nothing has happened. We must have accountability in this country. We must have transparency. You cannot you cannot place yourself. Government should not want to, or government should not attempt to introduce a tax structure when they themselves are afraid to release their tax information. After all, we must remember that we as politicians are employees of the people.
Minnis said all F&M MPs are also paid up. However, he could not say whether F&M senators are up to date on their taxes. A sex offender accused of sodomizing a pregnant woman during a burglary at her home pleaded guilty to those offenses today before the prosecution called its first witness. Anthony Penn, who was sentenced to 25 years imprisonment in 2012 for a similar offense, will not get any additional time in accordance with the terms of a plea agreement that bars the judge from imposing a consecutive sentence. Penn sodomized the woman after she begged him not to violate her. He also robbed her at gunpoint of an undisclosed amount of cash. Justice Indra Charles will hold a formal sentencing hearing tomorrow, but she told Penn that he will receive 20 years for the armed robbery, 25 years for the rape, and 7 years for the burglary to run concurrently with any other sentence he's serving. A prominent pastor is defending Bahamas Faith Ministries International President Dr. Miles Monroe after Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell suggested that Monroe is ignorant. Mitchell reportedly told the Tribune on Monday that ignorance is a strange thing, in reference to Monroe's call for the Prime Minister to replace him over recent comments he made on lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender issues. Monroe claimed that Mitchell does not represent the majority of convictions of Bahamians. Well, Bishop Simeon Hall said today he doesn't always agree with Dr. Monroe, but Mitchell is wrong for suggesting that Monroe is ignorant.
You should not call anyone ignorant. You could say somebody is ignorant of a fact, but to label someone, particularly someone of Dr. Monroe's caliber, training and understanding, is a bit unfortunate. And if Mr. Mitchell said that, he is dead wrong. To call Dr. Monroe ignorant is like calling me white or calling Mr. Mitchell boorish.
Hall says it is most distressing that national debates in the Bahamas always sink to the lowest levels, adding that he did not expect that kind of remark from the Foreign Affairs Minister.
I want to keep the debate on how debates should go in our country. Why do we have to have debates that condescend to name-calling and the degradation of personalities? That's all I want to say on this. You know, Dr. Monroe has his position on many issues. I have mine on some issues. You may or may not agree with me, but I dare you to call me ignorant. You see what I'm saying? So, if Dr. Monroe were an Anglican priest, Mr. Mitchell would never have labeled him as ignorant.
In his speech, Mitchell said his political career suffers because of his position on LGBT issues. He also urged tolerance and spoke of the general rights of all people. Monroe said Mitchell should keep his personal convictions to himself. However, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts defended Mitchell, telling us he doesn't understand what the discontent is over the issue. He said successive governments have endorsed the position taken by Mitchell. In 2011, then Foreign Affairs Minister Brent Symonette said that the government supported the United Nations Human Rights Council resolution that affirmed rights for LGBT people.